Welcome to the Power Platform Show. Thanks for joining me today. I hope today's guest inspires and educates you on the possibilities of the Microsoft Power Platform. Now, let's get on with the show. In this episode, we're going to focus on Copilot, origins, features, adoption, all those great things as it has become very prevalent in our lives. Our guest today is from London, England. He works at Illuminati Learning as a senior Copilot and L&D consultant. He's a tech enthusiast, drone lover, Team T, I love that, Xbox player, and FIFA king. He lives and breathes AI and helps business globally navigate the ever-changing AI landscape and adopt it smoothly in their work flows day to day. You can find links to his bio and socials in the show notes for this episode. Welcome to the show, Dan.
I'm going to make one correction. I'm actually head of AI at a company called First AI Group now. That was my old job title. That was my job title from August. I joined a startup back in August.
I love it.
Called First AI Group. So I'll just drop a quick connection there. So thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm actually head of AI at an AI adoption company called First AI Group, and I've been there since end of August.
I love it. And this is so timely. But hey, before we get into the AI conversation that we're going to have, tell us a bit about food, family, and fun. What do you do when you're not thinking about artificial intelligence?
Cool. Food. I've got a massive love for Mexican food. I spent a lot of time in California, a lot of time in LA, and I just fell in love with Mexican food trucks there. It's actually my goal, right? So at the end of everything, once I've completed my AI journey, I actually want to retire and just run a food truck selling burritos and tacos. That is, I got inspired by the film Chef.
Yes, I know the film.
That is my end goal for everything. So massive fan of Mexican family. So quite a close-knit little family. Live with my partner in London, which is cool. Been together quite a long time. We actually met each other at work. I was at TikTok global headquarters for 2 years, and we met on a Zoom call in lockdown. And 4 years later, we're still together, which is awesome.
So it wasn't a staff party.
It wasn't. No, it was literally a Zoom staff party, I think. And we exchanged some messages and flirted on Zoom. And then 4 years later, we're still together, making a life for each other, which is awesome and fun. I'm actually a bit of a geek, right? So I paint Warhammer. I've got back into Warhammer, so I paint my little Warhammer and I play golf. And that is my stress relievers for the week. Just go and smash some balls around a golf course.
Are you still playing with your drone?
No, sadly. I live literally under the flight path at Heathrow Airport. I'm about 5 minutes away. So all flights are banned from drones from where I can literally see the runway from my apartment. So I think it'd be dangerous if they let me loose with drones anywhere near real life airplanes.
I was living in London. I know there were a few, drones were, this is 6 years ago, but there were a few incidents out at Heathrow with people doing silly things with drones in the flight path. Yeah,
they don't actually take off. Like if I try and take it off from my roof, it just won't let it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'll be on a government list somewhere. So I don't fancy my chances on that one.
I took my drone to the Great Wall of China and I couldn't fly it. Wow. Wouldn't lift off.
Really?
Yep. Just... No go.
We think we're free, yet we're bound by technology. We're bound by the constraints of technology all over the place.
Yeah. And where I am now, which is rural, but about, I'd say, 1.5 to 2 Ks from my door is the flight path for another airport. But I have never flown that way, so I've never been smacked by the...
Avoid that way. Don't go that way. Yeah. Danger is that way. We don't want that. Yeah. So,
DJI are pretty good at, honoring all those airspaces and stuff. So
you can jailbreak it. But I just don't want to be on a newspaper cover or on LinkedIn for, accidentally causing an aviation catastrophe.
Totally.
Bad news.
But I would have, I think bird strike would be probably an ever bigger problem in a lot of situations, right? And for aircraft, that is. You know what? I think... just to digress a moment, I think in one of the updates to my DJI, and I've got a Mavic 3, I think that they might have even now allow planes to pick it up on radar, the drone. Like there's some kind of flight signature that they're added in. I don't know, as in I just thought I saw something in a changelog or something like that. I've not investigated any further than that.
I'm sad now. I'm sad. I might go and just play. I might just drive like 20 miles that way and just go and play on my drone tomorrow. See me in a field just flying randomly.
You know, the freakiest place I've put my drone up was in the middle of Russia, in a place called Lake Baikal. And every time, well, I had it in the air, I was worried about being picked up, you know, as in like, is somebody going to come? Because I'm pretty sure I wasn't allowed to be flying there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty brave. I've spent some time in Moscow and St. Petersburg, and there was definitely a list of things I couldn't take with me. And I think a drone was one of them. So brave, mate. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I definitely got it up, got it out, and landed it and gone, tucked away, right? I've once been intercepted by federal police for flying. This was in Sydney, Australia. This is when drones were brand new. Like I got the first, DJI Mavic that, came out. And I was in a big park, but right next to the fence, and I was literally next to the fence, was Government House, which have got permanent federal police on site. And so I put it up, taking photos of the harbour, video of the harbour bridge, and I put my camera down and I can see these cars and like people pointing inside this compound coming to me. So by the time I'd landed the drone, the police were walking up to me, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. It's a no-fly zone, that type of, I need to watch you delete the course. And of course, they weren't smart enough to know about how the cache worked, and that I can delete it off my phone, but it's still on the SD chip on the drone. So yeah, I didn't lose anything.
Fair play, man. Fair play. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to go and fly. I'm going to tomorrow. I'm just going to book myself on a meeting for an hour. I'm just going to drive until it will take off, and then just go and fly about.
Nice.
Reminiscing.
I love it.
But, man, I'm really happy we finally get to talk. By the way, I know we've been flirting with this for about 6 months now, so we've actually got it right. So
yes, I love it. And on an aside on this topic, I have got a book contract from Microsoft Press to write on Copilot adoption. And so it's even more timely to get your insights and thoughts and stuff in this area. I've been working with Microsoft internally for the last year and a half on adoption and what makes big projects successful, from particularly Copilot first and foremost, let alone getting into things like Copilot Studio, Foundry, and everything else, that's particularly available on Azure from a wider set. So, yeah, very keen. First of all, tell us about what's your journey been into this whole AI space over particularly the last 3 years. I don't know if you were dabbling in it more intently before generative, became such a big thing on everybody's radar.
Buzzword. Everyone loved it. Yeah, I mean, I've got a long history at Microsoft as part of the global master training team for a long time, specifically on the commercial side. So I was looking after server HCI stack when that launched. That was fun. Obviously into lockdown, took a divert on career, moved to a different company. I was at TikTok for 2 years, head of training for a region there, then came back over into the world of Microsoft. And look, I think it was a case of the right place at the right time. I was doing a lot of M365 training. I've been an end user adoption specialist for a very long time. And it just so happened that Copilot came out, and the company that I was working for, the previous company, they had the CSP Masters contract to deliver CSP Masters training to all the disties from America right through to Dubai on Copilot. And look, I've been interested in, as soon as, the beta testing of ChatGPT was out, and then when it kind of came mainstream 21, 22, I've just been an early adopter of it. I love AI. I see, I missed the dot-com boom. I'm just young enough to have missed the dot-com boom and not being a part of it. But I see this as, it's genuinely the biggest technological advancement we've had possibly in the last 10, 15 years. So when it came out, I just threw myself into it, and I learned everything. I was building everything I possibly could, taught myself a lot more coding, a lot more kind of involved. And then I guess I was just spending all of my time helping most of the tier one disties build their Copilot practices. So I've got quite a tech background. So I've been doing really, really interested in the technical, the pre-setup, the security, the architecture, all of the stuff that goes into making it work, like the engine. But for me, adoption is the thing that I love doing, because, we spend so much time trying to change people's lives with technology. This can touch every single person at every single level, whether it's C-suite or to an assistant or front of house. It makes us good at something we're not good at.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, it's the ultimate dream. So that's been my journey. And then, so that was a company called Illuminate Learning. I then joined a startup. I had an offer from quite a big global partner to go and head up their Copilot practice. So I was like, cool, I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to live and breathe Copilot. And then a startup approached me called First AI Group. And I've joined them. And we've actually got a really nice business. So we're solely focused on Copilot adoption. That's all we do. But we focus on diversity, and we focus on taking graduates straight out of university, training them up to be Copilot experts, Copilot adoption managers, and then we get them ready for a really good career and we put them into global businesses. So I've got a really nice mix now because I get to work, now our clients sort of range from 50 users, right? Our biggest one's at 9,500 seats deployment. So I get to be as hands-on as I want to, but I also get to get the next generation of workers ready to have an amazing career in AI. So that's my journey. Outside of work, I've built Jarvis from Iron Man to run in my house and on my smart speakers. That's the level of geek that I am. So yeah, AI is everything to me.
I'm there with you, man. Everything in my home, if I say she who shall not be named, movie time, I have got 3 big window shutters that come down. My projection screen comes down. My projector turns on. My NVIDIA Shield turns on. And my kids are just like, this is like they're trying to work out the command, and they're only 2 years old and 4 years old, and they still haven't got the tone right to be able to do it. And then at the end of a movie time, I say, that's all, folks. And all my big blinds, which I'm talking about, big like ranch slider type floor to ceiling windows all go up. My projection screen, everything shuts down. But like I've even in the studio here, when I come in the morning, I just say studio go is my trigger, and all the LEDs, everything lights on, computer powers up, sound desk, everything. And then the same command on exit.
And that's it, right? Its most basic form is automation, but it's automation that is there to help. And that's what I've been interested in for so long. And I know it sounds geeky that, different people get, not the word turned on, but they get enthusiastic about something. And it's, how can we use tech to help people?
I'd use turned on.
Turned on. AI turns me on. I don't know how my girlfriend's going to hear about me saying that, but no, it does. It's genuinely that, it's automation. Even Copilot Studio is just power virtual agents, and then it's just turned into Copilot Studio, Power Virtual Automate, whatever it was called before. But man, this is such an exciting time. It's so cool. I love it.
It's funny because I'm in two minds. One, I feel that the whole agentic story that has been touted in the last 6 months, that's ramping, louder and louder, and particularly autonomous agents. I'm like, I think you're using what you're referring to as hyper automation, right? Yeah. As in, for me, it's not autonomous yet. Autonomous is, I set a command that has many different steps that I haven't even thought of, and you can work that shit out and come back to me with the output that I'm kind of seeking. That's much more autonomous than I'm thinking when I think of, because for, I look at agents, there's rule-based agents, if-then type statement agents, which I think that's really where we are, but the marketing tells us they're autonomous, and I'm like,
This is it. I've got a problem with the marketing around AI. Not Microsoft's marketing. I love Microsoft's marketing. They're very clear on what it does. To a degree, some stuff they could maybe be a little bit clearer on. But everyone thinks that AI is just this magic stick that you wave over it. It fixes and it does everything, and it's not.
Yeah.
And I was having this exact conversation with one of my new starters earlier on, and it was, what's the difference between a prompt, a workflow, an agent, and an autonomous agent? And the easiest way I can describe it is, if I build a rule-based agent or a prompt-based agent, that is like me getting in a car, following a sat-nav, and I can never deviate from that sat-nav. I'm driving to the airport and I'm going that way. If there's traffic, I'm going to sit in that traffic and I'm going to get there when I get there. True AI agent autonomy would be, I get in my car and it does whatever it needs to do to get me to that destination with minimal input from me. It just knows I need to get there. If it needs to take me off the highway and put me on a back road, it does. If it drops me at a train station and tells me to get on the train, that's where we are. And I think there's a bit of conflict between what we expect AI to do and what it actually is capable of, which when we're then speaking to businesses causes an issue sometimes, because they think we can just do this. And you're almost like, hold on, start with the basics. Let's do this.
Yeah. If I hire an EA to work with me and help me, right, and I give them a job description, I say, these are the things that you're going to do. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the list, right? after 1 month, they never refer back to that job description, but they also know they probably do 60% more than my job description because I didn't document it in it. Because one, they've learned, like, if you're going to book me a flight, I prefer to be on an aisle seat. I prefer to be in an exit row. Like, I didn't document that, but after 1 or 2 interactions when she's booking, she goes, well, in future, I'm not going to put him on the window because he doesn't like the window. He likes to not have to climb over people, or, to get out. And it's what I call kind of like tacit knowledge. When you're in an office, you know the dynamics because you feel, hear, that type of thing. And when I think of AI being autonomous, I'm like, it's going to pick up on those nuances about me over time. And that's why I think memory is such an important construct that we're going to see a lot more investments in, and particularly then long-term memory, and going, hey, like for me, and, I've worked with a lot of virtual assistants over my career, had them work full-time for me and that type of thing. And I would have a protocol, which I refer to it now as a standard operating procedure. If this happens, here's the kind of... So they knew that if I was flying to another country and I had dead time in my diary, they would know that I like to do food tours. So I didn't have to tell them, did you find me a food? Like, they would go, hey, there's this food tour. Do you want me to book you in on any of them? Sure. Because they've seen that behavior in the past. I didn't have to write it in to the command or the rule or the automation. And that's why I feel that we're just not there yet. But I do believe we're on a pathway to it.
100% we're on a pathway there. But I think also as well, I'd probably say 60% of companies I speak to aren't actually ready for the basics of AI. There's a lot of stuff. I think that we've almost jumped a step. We get ready for cloud. We were forced into cloud computing through lockdown. But that was the biggest change in IT approach I think I've seen. Yep. A lot of businesses took a cloud first approach, and then chaos ensued with SharePoint and Teams and security groupings. Obviously, Microsoft have done a lot around the Entra security. So P1, P2, your add-ons, E3, yep. E5, whatever you've got. The security is a big part, but we've got a lot of different playing fields, and because every company is a little bit behind, I would say, on the security. You find the odd gem that are going, right, you're ready for it. But yes. I think a lot of the conversations we have is, let's focus on your infrastructure first. The basic, let's get back onto the basics of it. I always think this as well. We're light years ahead in our personal life than we are in our business life.
Yes.
So in our personal life, we use biometric security every day. We use it. Banking, logons, everything. Businesses I speak to still use their password they've got written down somewhere. Authenticate has just been made, it has to be done now, which is great. We live in an Azure world and a cloud world. If we lose my phone within 2 minutes, I can have another phone, can buy it. I've got everything, phone, everything. But in our business life, we're behind.
Hasn't it always been that case, right? Your home machine is always way higher spec than what your business machine ever was, right?
I think I've got the same as yours. I've got the same lights on there. But that's it. But now in our personal life, we're light years ahead of where we are in our personal life with AI usage. And I use my mum as a litmus test. My mum is probably the least technological person you'd ever meet, but she uses AI and she understands how to use it. So it's transferring that mindset of, Sue, bless her soul. How do we get Sue's mindset into businesses? And there's just a bit of catching up sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I've always looked at it from, we can make gaming software addictive. There's been times in my life that entire nights have disappeared and I didn't touch the pillow, right? Because I was gaming. And we can do it in watching movies or whatever. You lose this concept of losing track of time. And I've always seen, how come we can't create business software that all of a sudden you clock in at the start of the day and you're like, what? It's 5 o'clock already? Like, man, that has been such a good day.
Find me that job, my friend. Find me that job and I'll be there.
Yeah, right?
I think as well, AI, where we're at is, if we think about mobile phone, on mobile phone, the first thing I do when I wake up is check my mobile phone. The last thing I do before I go to bed is check my mobile, because it's ingrained into everything. It's ingrained into my car, my shopping, my money, my banking, everything on there. I think we're on a journey for AI to be like that.
Yes, 100%.
AI is going to be there, but it's not there yet. Yeah. And it's through people like us being able to guide through to get that done. So
let's talk about adoption. One pattern I have noticed over the last year and a half when it comes to Copilot adoption and even maybe broader use of AI when, custom AIs are built for an organization, is I've never seen the emphasis on adoption from the get-go. I came from a Power Platform Dynamics background for the last 21 years, and fought in many cases with customers about the need. I come from a pro sci type background and doing a formal implementation process. And they're and the salespeople were like, how do we sell it? It's like, no, like the data shows that 70% of projects fail because people weren't taken on a journey and a formal adoption program was put in place. What I am noticing is that there's a much more or a greater appetite to get adoption sorted out before the launch. In other words, it's inherently been built in. And then I've got 2 use cases in my mind, which I won't mention the company's names, which asked for their Copilot licenses to be removed, large volumes of them, because nobody adopted. In both cases, IT switched it on, flicked the switch, and then 6 months later, what are we paying for this for, right? Like, why didn't people just adopt it? Well, no adoption program. No, and one of the challenges is that I show is that the Google search box, if I take that and let's say take the ChatGPT prompt, they look identical. They've got a microphone at the right-hand end for voice. And you take people and they go, oh, I can ask it a question because that interface reminds me, and they don't logically think, right? It's a inbuilt learned response that this is just a question tool. They ask the one question, which they think's a prompt, and then go, oh, I didn't like the answer, or wow, that was magic. Now I'm going to ask it some crazy stuff. And don't get that this is a conversation. This is a multifaceted, I can easily consume an hour in dialogue with AI.
100%. I'm ready. Right? I'm glad to hear from your side of the pond that's happening because it's happening here. Every company I speak to, it's happening too. So I guess, would you like to hear how we approach adoption and what we do? Which kind of
Yes, I'd love to hear.
Cool. So we're not an MSP. We don't sell licenses. All we sell is adoption. So we've got partnerships with a lot of the MSPs. Microsoft, we work closely with everyone.
Quick question. How do you handle ESIF? Or do you not?
Don't touch it.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm in the same place, right? The company that I work for, we don't qualify under any of the cloud competencies because we only do strategy, right? We bring in partners that do the implementation work because we decided we weren't going to have an army of consultants that every time we do strategic consulting, the company goes, yeah, how many people are you trying to sell us, right? To come in behind. So we do an arm's length separation from that.
We partner up, yeah. We've got a wide network of people.
But we don't then qualify. And Microsoft, on the one hand, is going to us, hey, listen, if you could be ESIF, we'll give you the launch funding to get the strategy work in place because our results show we get large builds out of it. But it's not on our letterhead. It's on another partner's letterhead. So therefore, we don't qualify for those type of,
We just have to partner with those that can and then either put the work through them or, approach them. And strategic partnerships, look, we're a sole adoption business. That's all we do. We don't, we can advise you on your pre-sales work, but we just get involved. The journey should be, we get involved quite early, but we're not involved until later on. Our approach is really simple.
Yeah. So tell us your process. So
the process is before we do anything straight, working if the company's a right fit for us and if we're a right fit for the company, depending on what they want to achieve. So the first thing we do is a leadership meeting. Myself, their senior leaders, their creation of a senior leadership champion program. Who's paying for it? Who's responsible for success? Who's managing it? Identifying all these things and just sitting down and going, right, if we split this into 3 levels, right? At the top, we've got your organization. What is the organization's goals for adopting AI? Are you doing it for a competitive advantage? Are you doing it because your competitors are? Is it things such as, are you going through a merger, an acquisition? Have you got headcount challenges, rapid expansion? That gives me like a business use case for doing it from a top down. Then we go department by department. So again, what are the challenges in specific departments? Is this that you have a lack of skill? Is it you're overskilled? Is it you need to expand very rapidly on there? And then to your individual users, actually what does success look like at all levels? Build a strategy around it. We go to them with a proposal and say, look, don't turn it on for everyone all at once. Let's focus department by department. Let's focus on what you need to get done. Let's build a test user case. And we always start with this. Now, no matter the size of the business, we'll take between 10 to 50 employees and we'll do a 10-week rapid adoption with those before the global switch on. So we'll take 2 from marketing, 2 from HR, 2 from sales, 10 from operations. And we sit side by side, 1-to-1 for 1 hour a week. And we go a full needs assessment. So we did one for a legal firm recently, 6,500 lawyers. We sit down with a test group and go, what is your bottlenecks? What is stopping you getting work done? What is, let's declutter the noise from the signal. What's the processes? What's the applications? Where does your data live? We got off on the back of it. We start building custom prompts, proof of concept agents, and workflows. And we test it over 10 weeks. And at the end of the 10 weeks, we come back to the business with a focus group and say, okay, you're represented across the entire business. We'll give you an 80-page strategy document that's got 500 prompts that you can use across the business. Here's where you should focus your investment. Here's where you're saving the most amount of time. But key to it, what are you going to do with that time off the back of it? How do we protect a billable hour? Lawyers don't want to turn it on because they think that their billable hours are going to go down. But actually, we give you the strategy to make more money with it, which is why we're getting some really nice contracts, is because we're in that gray zone now. We're playing in that zone of helping you do that. So once we've done that, look, we've done our 50 user focus group. We then take it global to a customer. And that could be multiple countries. It could be 200 people, 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. We then do group training. So up to 100, 200 people can rock up to the trainings. We use Prompt Buddy. I live and die by Prompt Buddy. I swear it's the best tool.
Never heard of it. What's Prompt Buddy?
So Prompt Buddy is a power app that you can deploy on Teams. Anyone can click on there and it goes, right, you click on the application, it's got all of the prompts that you use in your business. If you go by persona, you can go by business group. You can say, what do you want to do? And it will give you the video of how to do it.
Wicked. Is that your product or somebody else's?
No, it's on GitHub. Microsoft, shout out to the creator that made that. I can't remember his name, but it's a great tool. It's a free power app. Probably I'll send you over the link to have a look at.
Yeah, I do want to have a look at this.
But we drive through that. We run a help desk. So we run regular drop-in sessions, department drop-in sessions, department training, on-demand learning material, videos. And that's how we approach it. But the key for us is that human understanding to start with, which is, what does your business want from it? Because if we can't align with what your goals of success are, it's pointless having AI on there.
There's a whole bunch of this I want to pick apart with you. Because I come from a power platform, tenure, back end, that type of thing, one of the things that, and this has been prevalent in a lot of different companies, is that a company would establish a center of excellence. And the center of excellence has always been a bit of a rub on me, particularly in the last, I suppose, 5 years, because I've seen customers go, oh, we don't like that word. That sounds like that's an elitist group inside the organization. IT has a history of making common people feel like they're dumb, right? How many times, earlier, 20, 30 years ago, you call a help desk and you go, I'm trying to do this on the keyboard and it's not working. And a service on the network has stopped. The IT person identifies that while you're on the line. They start the service and they go, oh, can you try that again? And you go, oh, it is working now. And they're like, yeah, it was you. When they know they fixed the problem, but they're not going to look like knobs, right, in doing this. And so this history has been built in culturally into organizations. And then all of a sudden, along comes AI and, it's tech. So therefore it sits in the IT department. And what do IT do? They
kill the project. IT kill the project.
Exactly. And so one of the things that I've noticed is that the big successful projects always get executive sponsorship. And I was interested to see that you got the leadership team. And because the other thing is, guess who has the budgets? The executives, right?
Well, this is it. There's three people. You've got the person paying for it, the person that's managing it, and the person that wants it in their business. So I normally find that's a CEO, a CFO, and a CTO. If I can get those people in a room, right, it's good, because where I've seen Copilot fail, and look, I've been a network manager. I'm about to throw some shade on network managers and IT managers. You give it to IT managers and they go, it's not really that good. I'm just not going to push it out to the rest of the business.
Yes.
Give it to the right person. And if you get their boss saying, look, you are going to push this out, and you get the buy-in, that's why that three-pronged approach really works well for me. If I speak to someone that goes, IT are just going to handle it, I tend not to try and work with that business, or I'll just give them a real hands-off, here's the stuff, we're going to make sure you get it. But the hands-on approach needs to be there. There has to be buy-in from that champion, the top-level champions, because it just goes wrong.
So as a pivot to COE, and I see COE as a subset of this concept here, which I call a Center for Enablement, because it's just a little mindset difference. We're here to enable people. We're here to help people come up with ideas, innovate, that type of thing. And it's that little nomenclature. And then you've used this word a couple of times, which is champions. And if we look on the curve of adoption, the bell curve of adoption, you've always got these people, you or I in that category, that before anyone tells us to get on the bandwagon, we're on it. We've been using it for ages, that type of thing, right? And so I've found that if you can tap that audience, find those people in the organization, they are going to be your vocal mouthpieces, right? But then you've got to go into the first adoption part of that bell curve, which you need to formally take people on a journey. Mm-hmm. How does that look for you? When you think of a champions program, what are the artifacts? Are you setting up a SharePoint chat environment, a Teams environment? How are you kind of, and I'll just actually give you a bit more reference. When I was in London, I interviewed the lead for Virgin Atlantic, and she is now a Microsoft employee. But what she did is she established what I would call a center of enablement, and that she was very much a technical person, but she understood, organization culture, personas and stuff. And she ran regular lunch and learns. She ran app showcases. So if some part of the business is doing great, she would put on hey, come along and ask your questions, and quickly got to the point that she had a backlog of 300 project wishes from the organization. They were adopting everywhere. Microsoft loved it, of course, because Power Platform went through the roof in this organization. And then, she went to Microsoft and created a lot of tooling around enabling organizations to do this. Coming back to what you're seeing in your Champions program, what is that underlying tooling which really allows you to create a mouthpiece, a megaphone, a communication pattern protocol that makes people go, I want to be part of this. I want to be recognized in this. I want to be showed that I'm the go-to person. And every company has those go-to people, right?
Yeah, I think first of all, when we set a champion program up, it's the whole, who wants to be a champion? If you put your hand up, you're a good candidate, you might not be the right person. So these needs assessments that we do in the business identifies who's going to be good for the proof of concept. Because ultimately, you don't want someone at C-level, you don't want someone at senior management level, because they will have assistants. They won't be doing the day-to-day work through it. So there'll be a mix of people. But our champion program, I liken to all-out assault. I will use everything at my disposal to shout and to talk, because there will be people that will see this as a blocker. They need to change the way they work. So the first couple of weeks are quite a closed environment, and that's where we just investigate the business and see how we're going to approach this. But we have everything. We have Teams channels, we have business-wide emails that go out every Monday saying, here's what we're planning this week. Here's the business challenge we're tackling. Here's the KPI we're working on. Here's the success story from last week. Here's how much time they've saved. Here's what they've done with that time. We do on-demand videos that we send out and we push out through Teams update channels, direct emails. Perfect. And we've got a website. We've got a help desk. Most of our work is remote, so we don't have face-to-face. The adoption manager that we put in there becomes their best friend to everyone. And it's all about celebrating successes, all the cool stuff from the front end. Now on the back end, what we're doing is actually being quite clever, is the people we're using in our champion program is the best case your business will ever have for getting AI. So they will be the person with the maximum returns for time saved, for money or revenue generated. And I've also learned that people don't want to do it themselves. They just want to have it done for them. So like I say, at the end of that 10 weeks or the 8-week period, we will go to the departments with 200 prompts that we have tested 1,000 times, that we know work, that have a benefit, and we'll put it on your library and go, there you go, here's a video on how to use it. And it's the regular check-ins on there. So I'm on about everything. There's podcasts, there's videos, there's Teams, there's emails, there's shout-outs, there's lunch and learn calls, there's help desks that you can speak to every working day, every working hour. Everything. Why not?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Personally, how do you manage your prompts library?
Prompt Buddy. Prompt Buddy's how I manage it. So I'll share over to you. Prompt Buddy, as soon as I've got a good prompt, I upload it straight onto there.
So but that's Copilot specific, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I use it for anything. I use it for all my stuff. I've actually got a loop where I've just got everything dumped in there that I build. I've also built a GPT agent that I've uploaded all my stuff to, that I go, give me the best, I'm trying to do this. I know it sounds really bad, but I tend not to use it too much during work. My biggest stuff is all about recapping of Teams meetings. Like my pain points at work is the amount of communications I have and the amount of meetings I have. And also I'm really forgetful and I've got ADHD. So being able to, I'm a bit scatty to do stuff. So, my most used prompt at 4:00 every day is, what is outstanding that's important? I have 1 hour left of my working day. You have to do this.
Interesting.
Prepare me for tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. Here's the loop for tomorrow morning. And the other thing is, prepare me for this meeting. It's my biggest prompts that I use, obviously in a bit more depth than that, but that's the gist of what I use AI for.
Yeah.
If I'm coding or building, it can help me code quicker than I can. If I'm, building nice customer-facing training material, it doesn't touch it because I can do that better than AI can. But for me, my weak point is is organization and it's communication. So that's what it helps me for the most. I'm not the best person to use AI in the business because I'm very simple with what I use it for.
Yeah.
Compared to some lawyers that are comparing, 500-page contract analysis for this. That's really cool. That's interesting, but it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm just simple. So
interesting. As in where I found that I repeated using prompts. So last year I set a goal. Like I do extreme things and they're in the spur of the minute, and I make commitments to myself to, I buy leverage to hold me accountable. And so I made a commitment publicly on social media that I would shoot a TikTok video every day for 100 days. And if anyone discovered I missed a day, the first person, I'd pay them $1,000 USD.
Oh.
Right?
Yep.
That buys me motivation, right? And so I did it for 110 days or something like that. And so what I was using prompting for, I would go, I have a concept, blah, 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 and I just record it into ChatGPT in this case. And then I would have the prompt, which would take this, identify the hook, identify the call to action. I don't want it to be any more than 30 seconds, 90 seconds. And don't take out any story that I've given you. If I've given you a personal story, don't reinvent that story for me. Give it to be, let it be my. And so I found that I would want to do that over and over again. And so I used a tool that I've used for years called Text Expander, which is a little app. It's a cloud subscription, but it works in all my browsers. It works in everything. And that enabled me to just, and it's a keyboard that works on the iOS phone. So I just go to the keyboard and go TikTok video, and that prompt I adjusted massively over time, right? As I developed the concept.
Yeah. But that's the evolution. That's the evolution of prompting. You try it and then you change it and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I'm always in search for those kind of tools that are going to save me mass amount of times. And this is why I go back to memory that I talked about before, because some of my prompts were literally pages and pages in length because I am preloading the prompt. Like, who's my target audience? What's my voice? Like I did a whole exercise of what is my voice. I'm a bit irreverent. I swear sometimes. Like, don't dilute me, right? That's the way I am. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because I think, the whole thing around prompting, I think the rule with AI, good in, good out. If you put good data in, you get good data out. If you put a good prompt in, you get a good answer out. I think people are shocked when we talk about prompt engineering and kind of the level that we go to in adoption, that we don't do top line. We drill down into your soul and give you an answer. I've got prompts that are like 1,300 words long that we spend hours crafting, but it does one very specific thing. So actually, when I think businesses, when we're saying, look, you can take 2 of our staff full time to do your adoption, and that's what you need to get this true adoption. And we go to them, like I say, that playbook. I think the longest one we've done is about 2,500 words, and that's for a legal firm. But the result of that is that took something billable. It takes 2.5 hours down to one single prompt.
Yeah, amazing, right?
And that's worth the 20 hours it put in. But that is probably, I don't even know how many iterations we did, but it's iteration after iteration. And much like anything, it's much like the controls on Teams, it's the controls on everything, is that it evolves over time. The prompt that we use just now, which goes, can you summarize this? By the way, summarizing PowerPoint is incredible. Summarize this into a Word document for me. Makes me sound like I know what I'm talking about on the latest update. That's great. But actually the true adoption, like you said, is the thing that's more than 10, 15, 20, 100 words long on a prompt. Yeah. That's cool. I'm just geeky, so it's all right.
I want to pick up on something you said earlier, which is there are 3 things that you do to initial kickoff and engagement. And you mentioned data. How do you have that data discussion? In that, one of the themes that I have seen more and more is people going, they use the word hallucination and they're like, it got it wrong. And I'm like, hang on a second, and another gentleman, I forget his name, that gave me this illustration. He said, if you take an average size organization, let's say it has 10 million data artifacts, just as an arbitrary number. And then you give that to AI and say, there you go, I've grounded it in my information, right? And AI starts, it goes through all that and it sees the Excel spreadsheet of which there's now, let's say, 30 copies in the organization. And the person that originally created it made a mistake in a formula and it's now there's 30 copies of the mistake in a formula. No one's detected it. This could be a legal document. Somebody had changed a terms and condition. They didn't remove the old one. It's been superseded. Now the contract's confusing. And we've created 50 copies of that when we onboarded 50 customers. And you give that as training data, and then you go, oh my gosh, it's got this wrong, yet you trained it on human error multiple times in the organization, and you're saying the AI is wrong? The actual data you gave it just reinforced the error. It doesn't know whether it's right or wrong, right? And so I talk about you need to take that 10 million, you need to distill it down to, let's say, 5,000 for the use case that you have if you're going to use a RAG process. And then you need to refine that to maybe only 500 artifacts that you're going to use as the knowledge for whatever you're doing, because then you're going to take those 500 and you're going to sanitize them, you're going to clean them, you're going to understand, and that's what you're going to give AI. And of course, all of a sudden, hallucination drops right down because garbage in, garbage out, right? You've validated what you've put into the system. Do you do any work around that area?
We advise on it. I would just hope that the partner that's turned Copilot on has done it. Now, we run our own assessments. We'll run oversharing assessments. My favorite one is just putting a document somewhere that we shouldn't have access to and going, right, I'm going to try that as a guest user or try it as an entry-level user into this. And it will just have one specific keyword. And then we'll run the oversharing based on DLP and labeling and everything else. We're not in the business of making changes to it, but I will make recommendations on how to do it. When we do our proof of concepts, we'll actually just do the setting where you can shut down entire archives of SharePoint and only let them see a certain SharePoint to train the data on and to train themselves on. I've actually seen it gone really wrong when you can see documents you shouldn't. And so we advise on that. We will give a strategy around that, but we won't do the work. We will not press the buttons on that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting. The company I was working with, and their SharePoint was just, in the end, we actually ended up putting the project back by 6 months because it was easier for a company I was working with to rebuild the SharePoint from scratch than it was to fix it. Because in lockdown, when everybody started having access to Teams, you had one SharePoint had about 95,000 different permissions for access. And you're like, no, just rebuild it and also cleanse your data. Copilot doesn't need to look at 10 years worth of documents. Just give it what you use. If you've not accessed a file for 2 years, sack it off onto a SharePoint somewhere else. Don't let Copilot see it.
Cold storage. Yeah, exactly. Listen, we're well over time and it's so fun talking to you. I think we should book a reschedule in 6 months' time and see what's changed. Where are we at in the world?
Let's do it. Man, thank you so much for this. Congratulations on the book, by the way. I'll be really interested in reading that when it comes out.
Thank you. I might send you a pre-release, get you to do a review of it. Not a review, but as in, what do you call it? When you're... Actually, yeah. If you're keen, I'll put you up as a reviewer. So before it even, goes to publishing.
Would love to. I too am writing a book on AI adoption.
Oh, good.
I've not been commissioned by Microsoft to do it, but I'm doing it as part of my I just want to contribute towards the channel, right, and help people do it right. So
I love it.
So I will send you that. I say I want to write it. I've written the contents page, and I've written probably about half of chapter 1 in between what I do. But I'll send it to you when I'm done as well.
I love it. We'll stay in touch then.
But no, man, it's been really refreshing. It's always good to speak to people that share the same passion for it. And it's clear, with what you do and you talk about in your history, it's just been a pleasure chatting to you, man. I've really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Thank you. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP, Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 guy. If there's a guest you'd like to see on the show, please message me on LinkedIn. If you want to be a supporter of the show, please check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 guy. Stay safe out there and shoot for the stars.